Okay, so welcome to the week 1 tutorial for what students at Republic Schools are going to be doing in their computer programming class. This is designed to give you an overview of all the information that kids are going to be working with in their first week once they get on computers. There's a great link in the description that shows you how to get an account set up on Scratch. This is sort of assuming that you've already done that. So before we dive into the actual code, a couple things about the interface. The canvas is over here, this whole area right here, and the canvas is sort of where all the action takes place. Our sprites are going to be listed down here, and sprites are just objects that we work with in our program. And then lastly, this is where our code is going to get dragged to build our program. Now, Scratch is just as legitimate of code, of any kind of handwritten code. It's just instead of having to type it out, you have blocks that sort of write it out for you. And so the first thing that we want our program to do is move. So I'm going to drag the move block onto the screen. And we notice when we click it, the cat is in fact moving. Now you'll find yourself, just like I'm doing, clicking it over and over again because each time it moves a pretty small amount. Well, the good news is computers are really good at doing the same thing over and over again. So I'm going to come over here to Control, and I'm going to get this block that says Forever. And now I'm going to snap my move block inside of it. You can see that white line sort of appearing. That means it's going to snap in place. And now when I click my Forever block, for sure the cat's like moving across the screen over and over again. However, it gets to the edge and just stops because the screen does not go on forever. And this is a little bit anticlimactic. So what I want to do is I want to make my cat bounce off the edges so it goes back and forth. This is going to be a motion block. So I go back to motion over here in my menu and I scroll down to where it says if on edge bounce. And now we can see our cat is moving back and forth. All right, welcome to the tutorial that covers over everything that All right, welcome to a tutorial that's going to cover everything that a Republic student does in their first week of computer programming class once they've gotten on the computers. This tutorial is assuming that you've already set up an account. There's a good link in the description if you need help doing that. So before we dive into any code, we need to understand how the interface is laid out. This area over here is called our canvas. This is sort of where all the action takes place. This is also what the public will see when they look at our program. Down here we have our sprites, and sprites are just objects that are used in our program. And then this area over here is where we're going to drag our code. Now, just like any other code, we've got lines of code that we're going to build. The only difference is they've sort of pre-written the lines and stored them in these blocks. And this makes sort of getting introduced to the basic concepts of programming really, really easy, and it lets you dive straight into what matters and not getting caught up in like all the syntax of typed out code. So I want to make my cat move across the screen. So as you can probably guess, I'm going to grab the move block. Now when I click it, you can see the cat is in fact moving. However, like I'm doing, you're probably finding yourself clicking the move over and over again. Well, the good news is computers are great at doing the same thing over and over again. So I'm going to come to Control, and I'm going to have the computer do this for me. I'm going to get a forever block. And this means do the same thing over and over again forever. Now there's a couple of different ways to do this. We could use like a repeat block, which repeats something a certain number of times. Or we could repeat until something else happens. But right now I just want it to happen forever. So I'm going to snap my move block inside my forever block. And now when I click forever, you can see the cat is moving over and over and over again. Our canvas, however, does not go on forever. So eventually the cat reaches the edge, and this is a bit anticlimactic. I can drag the cat back out, but that's still not very fun. What I want to do is I want to have the cat move back and forth across the screen. So I'm going to come to motion, and I'm going to grab a block that says if on edge, bounce. And now sure enough, the cat is bouncing off the edges. So this is a good time to point out that when the public looks at your program, this is what they're going to see. If I go to See Project page, this is what they're going to view. And now notice they can't click the blocks. They do, however, have this green flag though. And right now, that's not doing anything. We're going to set this up to be user-friendly. We're going to say, hey, start looping this code when the green flag is clicked. And now I can test it by clicking that green flag. So things are looking great. However, I don't like that the cat flips upside down. What's really going on under the hood is that it's just rotating the image 180 degrees, but that's causing the cat to flip upside down. So there's a really cool feature that allows you to set the rotation style. I want to set it to left to right so that it doesn't flip upside down. So if I snap this in my code, sure enough, it sets it to left and right. However, this isn't the best way to do it. What's happening here is over and over and over again, it's resetting the rotation style. But it's something that only needs to happen once. And so we're actually wasting valuable computer resources, like we're slowing our computer down by making it do that over and over again. So instead, I'm going to snap this below where the green flag is clicked. And now when the user presses go, it's going to set the rotation style once, and it doesn't have to worry about it anymore. So we've got a basic program set up, and so you'll notice below this video there's some challenges. You can get through large parts of the challenges with just this code. I do want to show you a couple of other blocks real quickly. Notice every time that we hit stop and go, the cat just picks up where it left off. Well, if you're making a video or a program or a game, you probably want things to start in a certain place. And so we can use this great block, go to, and this canvas is like a coordinate plane. It has an x value and a y value. And you can see those listed down here. So if I put this in place, and now once again, I don't want to put this in my forever code, I just want it to start there. And this code that's right below where the green flag is clicked is called reset code. It means right when the game starts, do some stuff, and then go into our loops. So I've set X and Y to where the cat currently is. So notice now if I stop over here on the left and start again, the cat will move back to where it's told. Just like a graph, if I start the cat at X position 0 and Y position 0, it's going to start the cat right in the middle of the screen. So this is a way to determine where things start. You can also control things like the way that the cat looks. You can change the size, and you can make the cat actually say things. So if I drag say hello into my reset code, the cat's going to say hello while it walks back and forth. If I want to remove a block, I can just unsnap it from my code and drag it back over here, and it will go away. One other great feature in Scratch is that it allows you to work with costumes. So far, all we've been dealing with is blocks of code. If I switch to this middle tab, I'm able to control more of the animation of the cat. Notice as my cat's running across the screen, it doesn't really look like it's walking. It's just moving the same image back and forth. When we animate, just like you may have done as a kid where you draw in the corner of a notebook and then flip the pages to see like it moved, that's what we're going to do with Scratch. Notice that there are these two different costumes. And as I switch the costumes back and forth, it starts to make it look like the cat is running. Well, I can control it switching back and forth with my code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want to switch to costume 2 and then switch back to costume 1 to toggle. But notice when I do that, you still don't really see a change. And the reason is because computers do things really, really quickly. So it is actually changing costumes just so fast that you can't see it. So I'm going to take advantage of a block that says wait. And I'm going to put a wait in between that costume change. And now notice you can see the cat now changing costumes. But when we put this wait block inside of our loop, it's also making the movement wait as well. This gets us to a really important concept in programming called parallelism. Parallelism means we can run two different lines of code at the same time. Actually, we can run as many different blocks of code as we want at the same time. So I'm going to get a new when the green flag is clicked. I'm going to start a new repeat, and I'm going to put my costume changes here. And I also noticed that it changes the costume to, waits, goes to 1, and then immediately back to 2. So I actually need 2 wait blocks. And now, as the cat's moving, you can see every second the costume changes without interrupting the motion of the cat. As you were looking through the looks menu, you may have noticed that there's a button or a block that says next costume. This allows me to accomplish the exact same effect, but with less blocks of code, which means the program's going to run faster. Now I feel like 1 second is a little bit too long, so I'm going to change this to say 0.3. You can put any number that you want inside of there, and it will represent that in time. So now our cat actually looks like it's sliding across the screen. The last thing to point out in this tutorial is that this white background is awfully boring. We can change our backdrop or stage by going to choose a backdrop from the library. You can also draw your own or take a picture with your webcam. I'm going to choose one from their library, the one called Brick Wall. And notice now my cat is moving along this nice backdrop. And suddenly we're now actually really starting to look like a game or an animation, and there's a lot of different directions we can go with this. I want you to now move down to the challenges below this video. You'll notice that there's a scratch editor embedded into the website. Work out each one. There's a video next to it that will show you what the final product should look like. And if you really get stuck or you want to check your work, you can look at the video at the very bottom of this page that's called Solutions. Thanks a lot.